When I first heard about this and how I first heard about it, it was through a friend of mine who thought that I would like it. And I'm the kind of person who, when somebody tells me that I will totally like something, it's like my brain says, no, you're not going to like this thing, and avoid it forever. And I don't know why, probably because I'm a very stubborn person. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite video games, and this should be a shorter video than what I did last week, so if people don't like long rambling things, this video is for you. In any case, my favorite video game, probably of all time, or at least in the horror genre, is a game called The Evil Within. Even though I did play the sequel and I enjoyed the sequel to some extent, I don't think it captured the same horror or magic as the very first one, and that's why I have replayed the first one countless times at this point. Now, as I go along, there might be a few spoilers, but this game did come out in, I think, 2014 or something, so you've had plenty of time to figure this out yourself. And from what I know, because I've done a bit of research, this game wasn't a mega hit or anything, but there were millions of copies sold, so it was popular in a very niche way. A lot of people do know about it, but plenty of people don't. And I think one of the reasons is that when I first heard about this and how I first heard about it, it was through a friend of mine who thought that I would like it. And I'm the kind of person who, when somebody tells me that I will totally like something, it's like my brain says, no, you're not going to like this thing, and avoid it forever. And I don't know why, probably because I'm a very stubborn person. But then I started to read about it online. I started to look into it, and I saw the game trailers, and I was like, okay, maybe I would like this game. But because I wasn't convinced, I decided that I was going to go and see if they had it at GameStop used. That way I wouldn't be paying full price, and if I hated it, there was no big loss. One of the big things I saw about this game before ever going to buy it was that it was impossible to play and that nobody could beat it. And that just kind of made me want to play it more and see what all these people were complaining about. So I got the game, and pretty much every waking hour I had between work and sleep, I was playing the game, like nonstop. I was instantly immersed in this whole world that was set up with the characters and the protagonist, Sebastian Castellanos, who I absolutely love to this day. And I love his partner, Joseph Oda. I am not a big fan of Kidman, and it's mostly because of what she does later in the story. But I'm not sure if I should drop that bomb on people, especially if somebody's considering playing this and they don't want to know that that's coming. But otherwise, the world building and the lore and the voice acting and everything is just so great. It's hard to put it down. It's hard to look away. It's hard to stop playing it. However, I could immediately see what this complaint was, where people were talking about how it's impossible to play. And the reason for that is because, and I don't know, I guess, technical terms for video games, so I will try to explain this in the best way that I possibly can. But when you're playing the game, your forced perspective, you have this forced field of vision. It's not as if you can look like high above or down below. You're kind of like in a weird middle ground where you're kind of like, it's almost like you're always crouching, even though you're not. But that's where like the field of vision rests, is like you're crouching, not standing up. And you're pretty much restricted to this lower field of vision, and you aren't able to see certain things in the distance easily. You aren't able to see things quickly. And I know that there's a point to that, because if they did it any other way, the game wouldn't be nearly as suspenseful or nearly as scary as it ended up being. I thought that it was very effective. However, upon my first playthrough, which was every waking hour between work and sleep, I didn't pay attention to a lot of things, and I didn't look up any guides or anything online, and I was getting very frustrated because it was a very hard game. At one point, I was convinced that they were more concerned with how much gore they could put in the game over how playable it was. But I was very wrong, because by the time I reached the end of the game, I realized at the final battle that I did not have enough ammo, my weapons were not upgraded enough, and there was absolutely no way that I was going to complete this and come out of it, because there is no more way to get ammo. And that's another thing about the game. Like, if you don't know this, there's like no ammo in the game. Like, very, very scarce. And you have to scrounge it up when you do, it's like, I don't know, there's like 5 bullets in the box that you find, or 3, sometimes 2. And it is painfully annoying because your best bet in this game, like at any point where you can stealth kill anyone, you should do that, because conserving ammo is what's going to get you to the end and what's going to help you beat the entire game. I wish I had known that my first playthrough, but yeah, like I said, when I got to the arena, I realized that I was screwed. And I tried to go back to like an earlier save to see if I could fix it in any way without having to replay the whole game, which I tried to do. And I was wrong. I could not recover. I could not figure it out. So instead of deciding to quit entirely, I decided I would take like a break for like a week, and then I would come back and I would play it slower. Like I wouldn't binge it as much as I was. I would pay attention, and I would look at some online resource guides for help to see like, you know, what's the best strategy. Because in this game, there's a whole system where you can upgrade your abilities, upgrade your weapons, all of that. But it is based on collecting this green gel. And that green gel is something that you take and, well, I guess it looks like it's being injected into your eyeballs in the game. That's the best way I can explain it. And that helps you upgrade your abilities. When you kill a huge boss or an enemy or whatever, you usually get drops of this green gel. Not all the time, but that's why it's important to kill as many enemies as you can. But at the same time, you want to conserve ammo, so you have to find creative ways of doing it, either stealth killing, or in a lot of levels, you can pick up a torch or an axe, and you can just use that to one-hit kill whatever's coming at you. Which doesn't work on all bosses, but not bosses. It doesn't work on all enemies, but you have to kind of figure that out on your own. Now, doing that, when I did it the second time, and I also read a bit of strategy play, I realized that I had gone about it all wrong. What I should have been doing was upgrading the power of my weapons and not increasing the ammo clips and all of that. Because the more powerful you make your gun, the less ammo you have to spend, because the more likely it is you'll get a kill in 1 or 2 shots instead of like 5 to 6 shots. And that's exactly what wastes your ammo. Of course, then there's these levels with these totally bullshit invisible enemies that you literally don't see unless they're right on top of you after they grab you. Now, once you play the game enough, you can figure out where you're supposed to shoot and where you're supposed to look, but that was not something I was anticipating. And then you have these fights, some fights where you have very little ammo whatsoever, and you have to get creative, and you have to run around a lot. And that is why the other thing that you should prioritize if you're going to play this game is upgrading your sprint. Because being able to sprint and get in a different position to reload weapons or pick up new ammo or whatever, that is priority number 1. And in some cases, you just want to run away from the enemies, which you can do, and not waste your ammo on them at all. So really, the big 2 things here are prioritizing the sprint time, and then also prioritizing the power of each one of your guns, which is you get a handgun, you get a shotgun, you get a crossbow, and you eventually get a sniper rifle. I know that probably most people here won't take my word for it or go out and buy this game if they haven't, but one thing I did wish that I knew, even if it's kind of irrelevant on topic, is that in, I think it's chapter 7 or chapter 8, around there, there's this big boss that you have to fight called the Keeper. And the second time around playing, I realized that if I upgraded my sniper rifle as much as I could to that point to use it on the Keeper, it only took 2 shots to take him down, which is such good information to have if you ever intend to play this, because this is a boss that will regenerate multiple times throughout the stage that you're doing. So you have to run in and you have to like take these wheels and turn off this toxic gas. And he is constantly reappearing behind you. After you shoot him and you kill him, you have like, I don't know, 30 seconds to do something, like get to the next wheel or whatever, and he will regenerate. He'll respawn. So this happens, I think, if you do it the method that I'm talking about, where you shoot him twice and he dies and you're very quick about it, this will only happen, I think, 4 times, and then you can run out of there. But if you're slow, if you're taking your time, if you get lost, if you don't know what you're doing, this will take a lot longer, especially if you end up having to shoot him multiple times, and then you're just wasting your ammo. So that was the best thing that I figured out to prioritize, was my ammo and that level, because I realized that when I played it before, I just run out of everything trying to kill this guy, when I really could have just been okay had I upgraded the sniper rifle and been able to shoot him twice. The last thing that I want to talk about in this game is some of the designs of the characters, or I guess creatures, I would say, because one of my absolute favorite designs is Reborn Laura. And she is like this kind of spider lady, I guess you would say, but not really, because I think ultimately she only has like 6 limbs. She doesn't have 8, but I absolutely love her. And there are quite a few enemies in this game that aren't like full-on bosses, but they all can like kill you in one move regardless of what your health is. And she's one of them. Like, you can't shoot her, so don't even try. The only way to get rid of her and to stop her is to get her to plunge into pits of fire or set her on fire somehow. And mostly you just want to avoid her. Actually, I think the first 2 times you run into her, you can't really do anything other than run away from her. And if she catches you, you're dead, because she'll immediately smash your head in. Why would I like this so much? Well, I mean, I don't like it in practice. I don't like it when I'm the one being grabbed and killed, but I just really like how she looks. It's maybe because, like, one of my favorite horror villains of all time is Sadako from Ringu, and I really like the whole, like, disgraced woman Japanese ghost thing with the long black hair, and Laura has kind of that look. And she also is, like, always screaming, and it's the most chilling scream. It is like I swear to God, the first time she randomly popped up out of the floor, because that's how it happens. She, like, you're just looking at a normal room and you think everything's fine, and she bubbles up from the floor and she's screaming, and you see all her limbs, and she's like a spider or insect crawling after you, and she's very fast. That was like the most nightmare-inducing, horrifying thing. I still don't like it to a point, even when I know that it's going to happen. But yeah, I absolutely love that. I also really like the way that Ruvik looks. I like his character design. I think that his voice actor, who was Jackie Earle Haley, I think he did a really good job on that voice. I also think that Anson Mount, who played Sebastian, was a great voice actor. I think that, well, I pretty much liked everybody other than Kidman. And like I said, my hate of Kidman was based on what she did in the story, and I don't care how people try to redeem her or say whatever they want to say. I will never forgive her for that. But I don't know if I want to say what that is, because if you're interested in playing this, I would like you to see for yourself. However, to say that it's a hard game would be an understatement, like a complete understatement, because there's a learning curve. There is all this strategy to factor in that I didn't even realize until I played it a second time. But it kind of like, I think it's like on the level of Souls games, where pretty much your only chance here is to get good. And you have to put the right stats into the right attributes. And if you don't do that, you're probably going to find yourself losing every single time. So if you like really fucked up horror and video games, and you want a challenge because other games are way too easy or something, I would highly recommend this one. I think that it is underrated. I think that people just, I don't know that many people have played it. Some people haven't even heard of it that I've talked to. I mean, I have a friend who played it, and then like I know one other person who's heard of it, but they didn't play it, and that's about it. So in conclusion, if you've played this game, if you know about this game, if it's one of your favorites, or if you hated it, please let me know down below in the comments, because I would love to hear your thoughts on this, since I don't know generally what people think of this game in the first place. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. If you leave a comment, know that I do try to reply to everybody who comments, because I like to have a discussion. If you made it this far in the video, maybe you should think of subscribing, or at least leave a like, because clearly you like what you saw. And I will see you in the next video.